Okay, so are you just like ever unsure during an interview if these are actually the person that you want to hire? Well, in today's video, I'm going to go through techniques to help you assess if they're actually the right kind of person for your process. Before we start though, I just want to give a shout out to our 3 sponsors. We've got Jazz HR, which you've heard about, jumpconsulting.net/Jazz HR. We've got Pet Care Team Training, petcareteamtraining.com, and we've got the Jump Mastermind, which all the ballers in the industry are in, and they're kicking butt and sharing information. So now, like, let's get into this, because I mean, have you ever been in an interview and you just ask the same old questions? Like, you walk into a house and the dog's laying on the floor panting. What do you do? Come on, you guys. Like, no. I'm gonna help, like, walk you through things to think about. Like, let's expand our brain. Number 1, I want you to use behavioral interview questions. That basically asks them to describe specific situations that they've encountered in the past and how they've dealt with them. It can give you insights to how they act, think, or feel. Now, if you've worked with me in intensives or we've done the phases together, you know that the types of behavioral questions we ask are always in relationship to the 3 or 4 qualities that we are honing in on and looking for. So it's a behavioral question. The next one is an open-ended question, and quite honestly, all your questions should be open-ended. None of them should be specific with a yes or no answer. So it gives you a better sense of their capability and the qualities they possess. So let me explain to you. Can you tell me more about your experience with... How do you approach problem solving in your work? Can you describe a time where you faced a challenge on a project and how you overcame it? Those would all be open-ended questions. Then there's scenario-based questions. So you can say, imagine you're leading a team working on a new product launch and one team member consistently misses deadlines and their work is not up to quality standards for the rest of the team. How would you address this situation? That would be a very generic one that you could just see. It's not so much about their answer as about their thought process of how they're going through it. And then follow-up questions are really important. Can you give me a specific example of how you implemented that strategy? How did your team members respond to that approach? In hindsight, was there anything you would do differently? And my favorite is, I believe it's like the Socratic. So they'll say something to you like, yeah, so it was, I really learned a lot. I'll be like, oh, you learned a lot? I'll repeat back the last part of their sentence back to them, which kind of like puts the ball back in their court, and they start talking again. Can you tell me more about that? Could you give me an example of what you mean? How did you handle that situation? What was the result of that? Could you expand on that? Tell me more. These are all really great questions to have follow up and to get them to keep talking. Also, use structured interviews. So make sure that you have a standardized scoring system. And we're going to talk about that in here. I'm going to give you one that you can use and adapt to your own needs. Use job-related tests and assessment. So maybe like a skills test or a knowledge test or a personality test. I love personality tests. Aptitude tests, physical ability tests. You can adapt all of these into your interview process. Consider references and past experiences. How long, and the things that you can ask are like, how long was the candidate employed at your company and in what role? Can you describe the candidate's job duties and responsibilities at your company? In what ways did the candidate excel in their role? In what areas did the candidate need improvement? Would you rehire the candidate? Why or why not? You want to let them provide opportunities to demonstrate their skills for you, to show them that, to give you a feeling of their abilities and their problem solving skills. Something like that would be animal behavior and body language, right? That would be, how do they know if a dog is feeling anxious or aggressive or relaxed, or you might get a fear bite, right? It doesn't mean that they need to know all of it unless you're hiring for dog trainers, because you are hiring employees and you're going to teach them. So remember that. But it's always good to see like where they're going to start off at. And obviously pay attention to them being reliable and punctual, and how they can maybe handle emergencies. Talk about like, what was the biggest emergency you've ever experienced before? These are all different kinds of things that, please don't use all of them. But I just gave you a whole entire like fire hose of all these things that you can do to really help assess to see if these people are going to be good for your company. It's going to expand your interviews more so than just the typical boring regular questions. We'll be back again on Monday, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.